Hello mga kasangga! Hello learners! Welcome to another new day of learning and adventure here in Applied Entrepreneurship. Kumusta? I hope you're all doing well and doing good as I have so many things in store for you. So before we formally begin with our new lesson, particularly with the different forms and functions of business, allow me first to introduce to you the learning objectives that you should be able to learn after this lesson. So our first objective is to define the functions of business and of course to enumerate the different enterprises and its form of business organization. So of course, to formally begin, let's have this next slide. So of course, when we say forms of business organizations, we have five. Of course, let's start with the number one form of business organization, which is the sole proprietorship. Okay, so when we say sole proprietorship, it's a business owned by only one person. Again, by only one person. The owner faces unlimited liability, meaning the creditors of business may go after the personal assets of the owner if the business cannot pay them. Okay, meaning to say, this really popular business structure, which is also known as the simplest to establish. Okay, and of course, in terms of a sole proprietorship, there's only one owner who makes all business decisions, and there is no distinction between the business and the owner. And of course, aside from this one, when we say sole proprietorship, of course, it also have advantages. Okay, so of course, let's start with the first advantage in terms of total business control, which is as the only owner of the company, they have complete control over business decisions and spending habits. Okay, so aside from that, when it comes to the sole proprietorship, okay, they are not required to file yearly reports or other financial documents with the state or federal governments. And aside from that instance, when we say sole proprietorship, they also have a simple tax reporting, wherein other than schedule, particularly with the profit or loss from business form, owners do not need to file any special tax forms with the IRS. Or no, aside from that, no, we also have in terms of this whole partnership, they also have low startup costs, wherein while they may need to register your other firm and receive a business occupancy permit in some areas, the costs of running a sole proprietorship are significantly lower than than those of other business forms. However, aside from that advantages, when we say sole proprietorship, okay, under this corporate structure, they have unlimited liability for all the business debts and company activities. Number one, lack of structure. Due to the fact that in terms of financial statements, they are not needed. There is a risk wherein there is a risk of getting too relaxed when managing their money. Aside from that, they may also experience or encounter some difficulty in raising funds. And when it comes to lending money, investors prefer corporations since they know those businesses that have good financial records and other forms of security. And of course, aside from that, sole proprietorship are common in personal enterprises of freelancers, artists, consultants, and other self-employed business owners that work alone. So therefore, when we say sole proprietorship, okay, again, no, this is very simplest for them to establish because there's only one owner who makes all the business decisions, and that has something to do with the sole proprietorship. So aside from the sole proprietorship, we also have the next one, which is the word partnership. So okay, so when we say partnership class, this has something to do with a business owned by two or more persons who contribute resources. Okay, and of course, general partnership. All partners have unlimited liability, and aside from that, limited partnership creditors cannot go after the personal assets of the limited partners. Moreover, when we say partnership, this has something to do with a business partnership wherein there might be either general or limited. General partnership allow both partners to invest in a business and share okay, and share even 100% of the company's debts. However, okay, and aside from that, no, they do not necessitate a formal agreement. And aside from that, they also have limited partnership also. On the other hand, they require owners to file a papers with the state and write official agreements outlining all of the critical elements, such as who is responsible for specific debts. Okay, so aside from that, no, when we say partnership, they also have provides some advantages also or benefits, including partnerships are simple to establish in comparison to other business structures since they involve less paperwork and legal documentation. And aside from that, partners can also pool their expertise when there are more than one like-minded person. There are more opportunities to expand their collaborative skill set. And in terms of work distribution, people in partnerships frequently split responsibilities so that one person does not have to handle all of the possible work, something like that. Aside from that advantages, of course, there are also disadvantages about this partnership. Number one disadvantage about that, we have there are possible disagreements of agreements. Okay, these arguments are possible when it comes to this partnership, and we cannot deny that because when we have more than one person is involved in company decisions, partners may differ on some aspects of the operation when it comes to this business. Difficulty aside from that, we may also encounter such difficulties in transferring our ownership because in terms of this instance, no, a firm may come to a standstill if partners disagree and opt to discontinue their partnership without a formal agreement that specifically defines steps, something like that. And aside from that, they also have full liability, wherein in terms of partnership, all members are personally accountable for business debts and can be sued, something like that. Therefore, when it comes to partnership, there are possible rules that you have to follow because of course we cannot really deny the fact that when we are pertaining about partnership, okay, of course we have the word terms and conditions about these agreements in the field of partnership sa mga business po natin. And of course, aside from this partner So, aside from the sole proprietorship and partnership as one of the forms of business organizations, we also have the third one, which is the corporation. So, when we say corporation class, this has something to do with a separate legal personnel from its owners. Okay, when I say corporation, this also has something to do with the ownership, wherein where ownership in a stock corporation is represented by shares of stock. And aside from that, the only owners enjoy limited liability but have limited involvement in the company's operations. Meaning to say, when we say corporations class, this has something to do with a business organization that operates independently of its shareholders. Before paying earnings or dividends to shareholders, a corporation pays its own taxes. Aside from that, of course, there are also advantages and disadvantages about that. The first advantage about that is, of course, owners are not accountable for business debts. In general, corporations' shareholders are not liable for its obligation. Instead, stockholders put their money on the line. Exemptions from taxes, of course, they are also exempted from the taxes because, of course, corporations can deduct expenses connected to the company benefits such as health insurance, premiums, wages, taxes, travels, and equipment. And aside from that, they'll also be they have also advantage. It's their advantage also about the quick capital via stocks, wherein shareholders may sell shares in the corporation to raise additional funds for the firm. And aside from that, of course, they also have disadvantages, which includes like double taxation for corporation, or wherein the corporation must pay corporate income tax before profits are distributed to shareholders, and then who must then pay individual income taxes. Aside from that, no, they also have annual record keeping requirements, and of course that is one of their advantage. Wherein except for an S corporation, the corporate business structure necessitates a significant amount of paperwork. Owners are less involved than managers, wherein when there are multiple investors with no clear majority interest, the management team, rather than the owners, may oversee business activities. Moreover, a corporation is a corporate entity that has board of directors and a major enterprise that employs hundreds of people. Approximately half of all firms employ at least 500 people, and that has something to do with a corporation. Again, when we say corporation, it is a business organization that operates independently of its shareholders. So aside from this corporation, we also have the next one, which pertains about the limited liability company, or LLC. So when we say limited liability company or LLC, this has something to do with the hybrid forms of business that has characteristics of both a corporation and a partnership. Wherein hybrid businesses are companies that may be classified into more than one type of business. Let's say, for example, the restaurant. Okay, so when we say limited liability company, okay, this is one of the most prevalent type of corporate structure for small firms. And aside from that, no, it is also characterized as separate legal organization with an unlimited number of owners. They're normally taxed as sole proprietorship and must carry liability insurance in the event of a lawsuit. However, this type of business is a hybrid of other types since it contains qualities of both the corporation and a partnership, wherein making its structure more flexible. And aside from that, of course, we also have advantages or some advantages and disadvantages about this one. Okay, as of course, let's talk about its advantages. When I say advantages, almost it's more on its benefits when it comes to this limited liability company. The first advantage about it, of course, owners and managers have limited personal liability for corporate obligations. As the name implies, where areas individuals accept full responsibility in a proprietorship or partnership. And aside from that, owners of the LLC or the limited liability company may benefit from the pass-through taxation, which allows them to avoid LLC and company taxes while paying personal taxes on business income. And aside from that, it's also their advantage in terms of being flexible management, wherein because LLC's lack of a formal corporate structure, its owners are free to make decisions about how their enterprises are run, something like that. And of course, aside from that advantages, it also have downsides or disadvantages, which follows us like in terms of cost, the startup costs for an LLC or the limited liability company, are the more than those for sole proprietorship or partnership, and there are also annual fees to consider. And aside from the cost, they also have separate records wherein the limited liability companies must keep their personal and business costs, including any company records, separate where areas sole proprietorship are less formal. In terms of taxes, in the case of unemployment compensation, owners may be required to pay it themselves. And of course, startups and other small business are common instances of limited liability firms because it is a flexible business model that allows members to be active or passive in their duties. Family-owned enterprises and companies with a limited number of members which also may function as an limited liability company, something like that. Therefore, when we say limited liability company, this is one of the most prevalent type of corporate structure for small firms. Okay, and let us come to it again, limited liability company. So aside from the limited liability company, we also have this last forms of form of business organization, which brings about the cooperative. So when we say cooperative class, this has something to do with the business organization owned by a group of individuals and is operated for their mutual benefit. Okay, so when we say cooperative, sometimes it is also known as co-op in the Philippines. No? It is private business organization or farm or owned and operated by a group of people to achieve shared purpose. And of course, aside from that, these owners collaborate to run the business and they split profits and other benefits. And of course, most of the time, the cooperatives members or part owners also work for the company and consume its services. And aside from that, of course, when we say cooperative, no, a cooperative has also following advantages. And one main advantage about it, of course, greater funding options. Wherein, they are depending on the type of cooperative. Wherein, in which cooperatives have access to government-sponsored grant programs such as USDA Rural Development Program, something like that. And of course, when I say cooperative, they have democratic structure, wherein cooperative members adhere to the one member, one vote, something like that. And of course, there's an idea which states that everyone gets a say regardless of their investment in their co-op. And of course, aside from that, cooperatives allow members to join and leave the firm without upsetting or dissolving its structure. And aside from that, of course, when you say cooperative, there are also disadvantages. And the first disadvantage about that, of course, in terms of raising capital, because of cooperative structure treats all investors equally, large and small. Larger investors may opt to participate in the other business forms that allow them to earn a higher proportion. And aside from that, one of the advantages also is about the lack of accountability because cooperatives are less structured, wherein members who do not fully participate or contribute to the business is also a disadvantage of the others, wherein there's also risk sending other members away, something like that. And of course, aside from that, there are uh, several cooperatives in cooperatives in the retail, service, manufacturing, and housing industries. Aside from that, we also have credit unions, utility cooperatives, housing cooperatives, and retail outlets selling food and agricultural products, which are also example of the cooperative companies, something like that. And these are the forms of business organizations in our lesson for today. Okay, and aside from that, of course, we also have the next slide, which pertains about the functions of business. And of course, in terms of running a business, of course, we cannot really deny the fact that there are important functions of business, which is, of course, without this function, we cannot run a business. That's why it is also important to consider about these functions. And of course, we have four functions based on our lesson, okay? And of course, let's start with the first function, which is the number one is about the production function. So when we say production function, okay, this has something to do with the creation of goods and services with the help of certain process. And of course, when we say production function, this has something to do with the production departments or companies, which are the production arms of the company, wherein manufacture items or provide services to clients. This could be industrial setting where teams or groups manufacture airplane parts, or a bakery kitchen where bread and sweets are produced for a small business or a supplier to other businesses, something like that. And of course, without projects, in terms of production, of course, this also produce products for our company, for our company or for our company or for our different businesses. Okay, and of course, without production, of course, we cannot produce something that comes to our products. And this has something to do with one of the four functions of the business. It's more on production, of course, something like that. And of course, when you say production functions, we cannot really deny the fact that we have to consider the to know or to meet. We cannot really deny the fact that it's always important to meet the specified time schedule. Dapat we have to fulfill the quantity requirements and of course to produce at minimum cost. Aside from this one, we also have the marketing function. When say marketing function, this has something to do with the process of getting goods and services into their hands of the consumer with a view to satisfying the needs and desires. And aside from that, of course, when we say marketing functions, this has something to do with assisting a corporation in identifying and sourcing potentially viable products for marketplace in which they operate, and they promote and then promoting them by distinguishing them from similar products. And it's also a crucial component of any businesses, something like that. And of course, when we say marketing function, it is also important to consider to decide new product development, promotion, and of course pricing. And aside from that, of course, we also have the third one, which pertains about the finance function. Okay, finance function. So when you say finance function, we also have basically responsible for three decisions and their proper implementation. So when we say three decisions and their proper implementation, the first one is to investment decisions, and the second one is to decide capital structures and fixed structure, which is fixed and working, and of course two decisions. Okay, so when we say finance function, napaka-importante yan. And of course, when we say about that, okay, this has something to do with um this has something to do with accounting firm or department which is in charge of business related issues such as funding, budgeting, accounting, and financial oversight, wherein they handle tax payments, submit tax returns, invoice clients, or distribute employee paychecks and track paid time off. And aside from that, they also have they also have to record cash flow and expense payments, conduct audits, and deal with the finance or tax law. Another form of financing organization makes loans to firms and small businesses for the acquisition of equipment, inventory, or supplies, which is also most commonly utilized to obtain cash in manufacturing the industry. So aside from that, we also have the fourth one, which pertains about these resource function. So when we say human resource function, it is concerned with the increasing effectiveness of human performance in any organization. So when we say human resource function, this has something to do with the purpose of selecting and selecting job or selecting workers, or selection and job analysis, training, promotion and transfer, employee and involvement, something like that. And when we say human resource function, okay, this has something to do with the concentration on employee-related duties such as recruitment talent, screening prospects, hiring employees, explaining benefits like or managing performance management, and employee relations, formulating company policies, and fostering organizational culture. Wherein HR or the human resource organizations or departments are also responsible for ensuring compliance with the local, state, or even national labor and employment regulations, wherein they also resolve conflicts and investigating claims or complaints. And these are the functions of business. First, production function, marketing function, finance function, and of course, the human resource function. And that is our main lesson for today. So, should you have questions, feel free to approach me anytime. Of course, thank you for your time, for listening for this lesson for today. Thank you so much. Again, of course, for more details or for more info or for more updates regarding this video, please don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell in order for you to become more updated for this channel. Thank you so much. Bye bye.